would say that system hacking is the process of gaining at least unintended or even unauthorized access to computer systems and their data, bypassing or breaking authentication procedures and restriction policies. This could be done by utilizing configuration weaknesses, weak authentication and authorization schemes, as well as software and system exploits. And during the process, the adversary establishes mostly persistency and extracts relevant data, as well as means of authentication like password hashes or Kerberos tickets, and tries to escalate his privileges to the highest level, which is available in the system. And in the course of system hacking, the adversary would, as the case may be, try to scan and enumerate the perimeter to continue with lateral movement in the network the system is located at. Yes, I definitely approve with that. System hacking today is not the same as 2 decades ago, before when most IT networks consisted of only kind of workstations, servers, and mainframes. But today, the IT landscape is enriched with a multitude of new kinds of computer systems designed for any kind of purpose, especially when looking at IoT devices, for example, which most of the time can be found in the low budget segment with high innovation grade and a lot of pressure to deliver these innovations to the market. So that system security has a very small space in terms of time and costs. As a consequence, many of these devices incorporate lots of flaws and vulnerabilities while being accessible from all over the world through the internet. Furthermore, I would say many companies try to increase their efficiency and to reduce their costs, moving great parts of their IT infrastructure and services to the cloud. And there, the IT systems and services are directly accessible through the internet, and this necessitates a great deal of security measures to address risks of, for example, data leaks or theft of intellectual property. And another very important development in that area is the interconnection of so-called operational technology devices, which control industrial equipment and critical infrastructure to increase automation and production efficiency, which makes it necessary that these devices are somehow connected to business IT networks. And if the interface between the OT networks and IT networks are not properly secured or monitored, consequences of great magnitude can evolve. So to address the threats which accompany the rapid growth of new technology, the ethical hacker has to adapt to new approaches, methods, and procedures of system hacking in order to be able to find and mitigate vulnerabilities which may occur in these systems. And from my point of view, this can only be achieved by constantly learning and broadening the individual skill set in ethical hacking. Personally, to keep up with current trends, I worked through the material of this certified ethical hacker course, which is regularly updated and has ensured that I've refreshed my knowledge and skills in cybersecurity. Yes, especially the before mentioned OT or operational technology devices and networks are often very vulnerable to system hacking because the implemented technologies in these devices and inner workings behind the functionalities which they provide are long in use and have been developed when system security was no big deal. And the risk of their misuse was not prevalent. So and moreover, the personnel engineering and deploying these devices, of course, not being IT professionals, not to mention security professionals, oftentimes are not aware of the risks which occur when they become reachable from business IT networks and from the internet without proper security measures in place. And the younger history has shown multiple incidents where these vulnerabilities were exploited and caused real physical damage to equipment and probably more. Yes, I've emerged as a Linux engineer and web service administrator, so I'm very used to Linux and all its tools. And Linux is a free operating system. It has a tremendously lot of tools available in the internet and is very customizable. So it's a perfect fit for an ethical hacker. And you could not, if you like, you could choose a plain Linux distribution which you like. And after that, install the security tools you need in your work as ethical hacker. But from my experience, that takes a lot of time. It's sometimes very painful to configure. And so I would suggest to use prepared offensive Linux distributions like Kali Linux, which I mostly use. And among the tools I most of the time or use or I prefer, I would like to mention Metasploit because Metasploit has a lot of exploits which are organized and easy to access through a command line, and especially the exploitation phase in the pen testing framework Metasploit, where the Metapredator Trojan malware is used for post-exploitation tasks, is very useful and flexible. And I've employed it a lot during my time as an instructor to show my pupils the possibilities which a hacker has inside a system after he has exploited it. And especially if we're looking at the exploitation phase, I also like to use the Empire framework, PowerSploit, and PowerView, since many of the system I'm working with are from the Windows domain. These post-exploitation tools come very in handy because they employ PowerShell. And when it comes to automating tasks in the process of exploitation, I strongly consider using the Python scripting language because it's very easy, flexible, and has lots of libraries which can be used. Since the extent of possibilities is infinite concerning system hacking, it's important to keep an overview of applicable methodologies, techniques, and tools to develop an organized manner of working And this is why I really recommend to start hacking exploitation with Metasploit, which is a penetration testing framework suited to attack and exploit systems. Yeah, well, I've mentioned before that this framework has a lot of exploits, but also payloads which can be used afterwards, and auxiliary tools made available through well-defined and organized structure. Yeah, and what I like very much, or what would come in handy for a starter, is the very good documentation of the framework, and there are a lot of examples and resources um, one could start with. So all in all, Metasploit is a very good framework to start with system hacking. And if you consider to try such tools, exploitation tools, I would strongly advise to use prepared and secured lab environments. For example, I remember the iLabs environment in the Certified Ethical Hacker had a lab with Metasploit, and there are also some cyber ranges out there which provide prepared lab networks where you can use Metasploit to attack vulnerable systems. Yeah, firstly, I would advise to attach your system to a central configuration management solution, which allows centrally organized change management to provide consistency in your system configuration. So if uh, if it's brought to you that one of your system is vulnerable because of a wrong configuration or a missing patch, you have to change something only at one place at the configuration manager to apply it to all your systems. So you don't have to do it manually. And you wouldn't forget about important settings or systems in your network, which is most certainly growing very fast. And the second advice I would give is that if you establish new systems, you should take your time to build them up and design them, and to implement a proper security policy, because otherwise you might overlook important steps in securing and hardening the systems. So yeah, that's very important that you really prepare well and take the time until you've finished the system design. I would say the user-friendlier a system is, and the more functionality it provides, the more likely it will be susceptible to system hacking. Yeah, beside that, the significance of the system selection most of the time probably will be quite moderate, because the security posture depends more on the security and hardening measures applied to the chosen systems. Yeah, first of all, I think that's the most important thing. One should establish a strict update policy, and make sure that updates occur frequently and periodically. Um, Another very important measure would be strong authentication by complex passwords, or even better, if the users accept that two-factor authentication. Yeah, and after that, the usual suspects like deploying antivirus software and exploit mitigation tool frameworks and host-based firewalls on every system. Uh, yeah, and the other measures would focus on a proper configuration of the system, like deactivating all ports and services which are not needed for daily business and the deployment. Yeah, and install and use as little software as possible to reduce the attack surface. Uh, yeah, and isolate different systems or different category of systems through network segmentation. and not just throwing all kinds of system into the same network. Yeah, and even though you might have implemented all of these measures I've mentioned before, you should never stop looking for rogue and unused devices in your network, and document every system and asset in your network.